Let's make 1930s bra and tap pants. Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin. On this channel I teach old-fashioned sewing skills and we copy originals. For the 20th century I tend to actually use original patterns. For 19th century I do copy originals directly because it's hard to find the patterns. So today, yes, I need some undergarments for the 1930s. Really the very late 1930s, so I can do it for early 40s and they work still. So I have here some silk charmeuse, which is very slinky, not very fun to work with. I made myself a modern nightgown from it, modern being 1910, but you know. And then I have cut out slippers, a head wrap, I think people call it a bonnet now, for my hair, and then slippers. Oh, and then also a bedgown. Forgot about that one. So I have those cut out. I'm not going to get to any of that today. But I'm going to make a pair of tap pants and a bra from the scraps, because I have enough of this left over from it. And then I also want a second set because silk can get kind of hot. For a lot of my very early 40s stuff I do working wear, which silk is great for that because it is comfortable, but it also can get hot. So I want to do a cotton sateen set as well. I've not cut anything out of this yet. This is also supposed to be a whole bedroom modern set for me. So nightgown, bedgown, slippers, head covering. So I haven't cut anything out of this, but I'm going to try to be very judicious and just use the very corners of it to make sure I have enough for everything else. But we're going to make 2 pairs of bras and tap pants. I have original patterns on hand, but I haven't quite gotten to the decision making part of this yet. That's going to be now when we start cutting. I'll make decisions as I cut. I'm going to start with cutting out the tap pants. This is the silk charmeuse, which if you've never worked with silk charmeuse, I do not recommend it. It's really nice and buttery soft. It's really hard to work with. And yes, this should be cut on the bias, and no, I am not cutting on the bias because I don't have enough fabric. So we're going to see if this works. We'll cut the next one on the bias and see if there's any difference when I'm done. And then the pattern gives 2 options. One with a regular hem and one with a scalloped hem. And I think for this one we're going to do the scalloped hem, and I can bind it with some very close matching silk ribbon that I have. And the other one we will do the plain hem. Charmeuse always scares me a little bit. I had a really bad experience the first time with charmeuse. Not even working with it. I was working at a museum and we were putting a original 1930s evening dress on display. Happened to be charmeuse. I spent hours trying to get that stupid thing on the mannequin to look nice. The problem was the original lady was a lot bigger than the mannequin. We had a very tiny mannequin and she was an average sized person, okay? So I had to stuff her out a lot. The problem is every time I stuffed her with something, even if I made the stuffing as smooth as humanly possible, you could still see lumps because charmeuse will show everything. Unless you have some really, really good underpinnings and like a form-fitted slip over top to make sure there are no seams, no nothing. That is the only way you can wear charmeuse. I'm telling you, it is awful. So after like spending a couple hours on that stupid mannequin, finally my director had to take over because it was not fun and I would never do that again. So I actually swore off sewing on charmeuse without even ever sewing on charmeuse. But here we are. We are going to use view D for the bra because of 2 reasons. I'm going to use a very small slip-ons there, that's fine. Because it calls for elastic all the way down and I don't have long elastic. I do have some knit fabric that would at least be elastic-ish. That's the same color. Wonder if we do view D with the blue and then view B, which I think is what I wanted, the long line bra, with trying out, instead of elastic, do the cotton knit fabric. Let's try that. I am going to need this, so. Alright, cutting out the bra. I had to look at a couple of originals. I'm seeing some serging, which I just happened to borrow my mother's serger for the week for a house project. So while I have it, we might do some of this with some serging. That'd be something we've never done on the channel. Unfortunately, I do not have a 1930s serger, but we'll make do with the 1990s or 1980s one. I forget. She's had that surgery as long as I can remember. Alright, I'm sorry it's so dark. I think it's because this thing has a light. I forgot how much I like sergers. Sergers are nice. I need to get mine fixed. Anyway, so I stitched up the seams and I'm sewing the bottom part. This is the tap pants. So that's the crotch. So I wanted to bind this ribbon, but I'm looking at it and now I don't have enough ribbon to go around this. So I think I'm going to do is serge the scallops, which is going to be interesting. And then I will do a very narrow hem with that. I think that's going to look the best. Probably not going to look the most fantastic, but it will work. Okay, so that can get just barely over and I can sew that down very narrowly. This one's not going to get trim. The blue one will get trim. Alright, it's also very dark over here, but what I'm doing is sewing in at the waistband. So I'm going to kind of disregard the directions. I'm looking at originals. So what it is, there's still an opening in the back because there's not enough space in here to do a fully closed elastic band and then pull it up over the hips. So there does need to be an opening with a button and button loop closure. But I'm finding an original is actually green silk. So it's like folded over once. I did a serge stitch, and then I'm going to insert elastic in there, sew down the elastic here and here. That way it doesn't go through, and then do a button and loop. So the button and loop is there, but the garment itself is still, I guess, adjustable. So it's not a fixed size, which is what I want. I didn't necessarily want a fixed size piece. Why I didn't look at this and didn't notice that it wasn't a full elastic band before, I don't know. But I didn't really process through that. And I want something that's adjustable. So this is going to fix both problems. It's going to be a little bit adjustable, but also still have the button and loop closure. Also, we're not using an antique machine for this project because I was already using the modern serger, and I felt like at that point you might as well use the modern machine. And a little bit away from the edge because I want to have space for the elastic. I don't want the elastic to be shown right at the edge, so I'm going to basically end it right here, but I need to be able to get in there to sew it down, if that makes sense. So it should be fairly fitted to the waist already. I guess shouldn't need much gathering, which is why I say it's going to be partially adjustable. I'm going to get that all stitched down, so there and across there a couple times, just to make sure it stays, and then we'll come back for, well, I got to hem them first, and I'm going to trim this one. I'm going to put some, because it's a plain edge, I feel like we can do something pretty there. I want to show you how, I think I've done it on the channel maybe once, but I don't do it very often. I figure we might as well show you how I do a button loop. So I have some silk buttonhole twist here. That's what I usually use for buttonholes. And I'm using a thinner one, so I'm using 2 layers, although you really ideally would use 1 layer. And make my loop pretty small, put it over my button, which is a very large button. Make sure it fits over and a little bit loose. So I'm going to hold that in place. I like to do a stitch or 2 just to hold everything. And now we're going to do a buttonhole stitch or a blanket stitch or whatever you want to call that, all the way down. And now I guess I get to go change the color of the machine thread to black so that I can sew on trim to this blue pair. Alright, beginning with the bra, I'm taking piece 1 and 2, which comprises the cup, and I'm stitching these together. This is the part I'm really going to dread working with that silk. I just know it. So this seam I'm definitely going to serge. I found a couple originals like that. That the cup one was serged, but the other ones tended to be but the other seams tended to be felled. So I'm probably going to end up doing that. It's even less fun because it's on the bias. Alright, those are going to get serged. Alright, I'm sewing all the pieces together. And because both these are very light fabrics and I don't have any structure with them, and because I have a decent amount of bust that will need support, I am going to be boning these garments. I have an original that is boned, so I know it's a period choice, even though the pattern doesn't call for it. Alright, so I am binding the bottom edge. With the other one, I just chose fabric. And I didn't put any elastic on that one. I said I am going to put some in the very, very back. This one, of course, I have the sections that are stretchy. This is going to negate some of the stretchiness, especially on the bottom, but I don't necessarily want stretchiness on the bottom. I want it to have a little bit of wear around the bust area. So I feel like this is pretty consistent with at least my original, and without making it to where it's going to get too big on me or stretch. I guess lighting is just get fixed when you don't sew at nighttime. So it is the next morning. Because I'd help if I turned on the machine. So I am working, well, putting in boning channels, which I'm using black mostly because I'm going to trim these things in black. This should help the slinkiness of the silk and actually getting it to lay nicely as wearing. I feel like this project's going to eventually get done. I usually don't spend this long on my projects. Let's see. I am sewing in boning channels. So I was going to sew some boning channels around and kind of frame the cleavage. I tried it on. It doesn't work because cleavage doesn't actually start here. It starts like here. So I'm going to leave these in as a little bit extra support, but I'm not going to put boning in them. I am going to bone the center front because otherwise it kind of bows out a little bit. I think we need some structure there. I'm going to bone the sides and I'm going to bone the ends. I also changed the green one, and I will show you in a minute, to close up the front. My original closes up the front. I'm going to leave this one closing in the back. I'm going to see which one I like better. Okay, and at the back I'm going to do several things. I'm just going to take this out so I don't get confused. So this back, one end I want to put hook and eye tape. The other end I had to put elastic so it's a little bit more adjustable. And modern bras are usually elasticized too. And most of the original bras I have seen have included some elastic somewhere. So the pattern has some of it in the center or on the side. I disregarded that on this one. I did it on the other one. But I am going to keep the elastic on the back. The problem is I don't have really long elastic like this. I have 4-inch elastic, which is halfway. So we're going to do 2 strands of elastic and hope that it works. And then on one end we will have the hook and eye tape, the other end will have the elastic, and then on the end the elastic will be the other half of the hook and eye tape. Alright, so now we come to the more difficult part, which is attaching the other half of the hook and eye tape to the halved elastic pieces, I guess. I don't know. And yeah, I'll probably end up, well, probably won't put boning on that one. I will put boning in this one, so it'll be boning on either side of the elastic. So hopefully that'll work. I'm going to put some boning in here. I already had the bottom of this edge finished, so I don't need to put anything here. What I will need to do is cut some fabric so we can bind this top bit. And then I don't have to because this edge is finished, but the original I have does have some sort of little decorative, theirs isn't quite as elastic, there's a little bit more rayon, but I have this for bra making, so I think I'm going to put it on the bottom, and that way it'll finish off the bottom edges of the boning channel so nothing falls out, and also it'll give a little pretty edge at the bottom like that. first is binding this top. And I'm using silk ribbon for the binding on this one. I'm using extra fabric for the binding on the blue one. I'm using silk ribbon for the straps on the blue one, but I'm using Petersham ribbon that's rayon, and I believe it's from Burnley and Trowbridge for the green one. It is not the same color green. I have like 4 colors of green in this bra. That is the closest that I had. Alright, that is end. Alright, that is it. So both bras are done. Both tap pants are done. I am not going to put these on for camera because this is a little too much like modern undergarments, and I do not feel comfortable doing that on camera. So I guess we'll just lay them out somewhere and you can kind of see the set. Alright, I guess that's mostly in frame. So yeah, there they are. Yeah, I mean, they both fit. I like front opening bras. I really am a huge fan of those. They're a lot less annoying than the back opening ones. And so I do like that that was changed on the green one. But again, I think with the silk being so slinky, it just didn't quite be the right size. I think you can even tell a difference in the cup sizes compared to the blue. But yeah, the blue one definitely fits a lot better. But yeah, I mean, now at least I have underwear and a change of underwear for late 30s and early 40s. So this will work really through World War II. I might need a new bra set for mid 1940s because styles and such do change. I technically do have the original set that I can also wear, which one day we will reproduce because that is a little big on me now and I do need to make a smaller size. I also do have a 1930s girdle that I need to copy one day as well. It's actually a recreational one, so it's meant for like moving around. I thought that'd be really good for what I do, mostly for 40s, which seems to be a little bit more active than other time frames. But yeah, if I ever do the girdle, of course it will be on camera. I'm gonna need advice from those of you who do been mid-20th century or also who may have also lived through this time period, because I am really struggling with wearing tap pants and also a girdle. How do you use the restroom facilities? I really need help with this because it doesn't seem logical to have to completely undress to use the restroom, but that is the only explanation I have. I don't know if tap pants and girdles were worn at the same time. Some of the images of underpinnings that I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like tap pants are being worn, but also tap pants are shorter than girdles. So like, what if they really are underneath there? But then to get the tap pants off, you would need to take the entire girdle off, and usually that means taking off the dress, and that just seems like a lot of effort just to pee. So if anyone remembers or happens to have knowledge, I would really appreciate exactly what to do in that situation. Do I just not wear tap pants if I'm wearing a girdle, or is there a way that I'm not processing to get to wear both? I would not be opposed to making this type of garment again. Probably not out of silk charm use again, unless I have something to kind of anchor it with, either interlacing or lace or something of that nature. But I am very pleased with how they turned out given what they are. The green one does still fit. It is a little bit snug. It's not as comfortable as the blue one, so I'll probably go for the blue one first, and then the green one can be my extra set if I need it. Anyway, I think that's about it for today. If you've enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe to the channel, click the little bell notification so you're notified anytime I upload a new video. And as always, have a fantastic week, and I'll see you back here in the next video.